Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It is Thursday night or morning, wherever you may be joining us. It is time for Misfits Racing League action, and it is, of course, the Tier 1 division taking to none other than the Mexican racing circuit. We're here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, and joining me from the land down under, as always, Mikal. How you doing?
G'day, everybody. It's lovely to be here as always, and thank you again, Strivian, for having me here for this lovely event. It's round number 20 of 22, so we're certainly coming to the tail end of the season. And yeah, we're here in the heart of Mexico City, highest elevation circuit on the F1 calendar, and has one of the longest straights as well, with that main straight between the last corner and the first corner. So plenty of spots for overtaking, plenty of spots to go 3 cars wide as well. So it should be a very tight, very competitive race between these Tier 1 drivers this evening.
I definitely think so, especially after that thrilling Tier 2 race that we just finished up with just about a half an hour ago. Let's take a look at this calendar. Of course, the Tier 1 grid following along just the same as well with the Tier 2 grid. We're here for round 20, as Mikhail said. Round 20 out of 22. Next week, we go over to Brazil, over to Sao Paulo, and then we move through to Abu Dhabi for the final round of this season, and this championship right now is shaping up to go down to that finale. Of course, let's take a look at who is on the grid today. Over at Mercedes, we have Brainstew and Becky B taking up duties for the German team. Alex Biddo and Brownie for the Scuderia Ferrari squad. Swifty and Microlander are in the charging Red Bulls. Yoda and Rackety for McLaren. We have Remco Van Putten, of course, with BTFU at Renault. Shenjie and Freeware for AlphaTauri. Fubar and Sandako for Racing Point. Nigel McEdis with John for Alfa Romeo, with Astrodite and Valu for Haas. King and Ace running out the 20 full-time drivers on the roster over at Williams. Standings-wise, things are tense, Mikhail. Shenjie currently leading this championship by a good margin, 252 points, and he could potentially secure that driver's title here today. Yoda, the runner-up in this championship, 201 points behind him in the McLaren, and then it is third for Alex Biddo, 152 points, and he is currently holding off Freeware, Brownie, his teammate, and Brainstew. Nigel McGeedis a little bit further back, 102 points. Van Putten, 96. Valu, 91. And King is right there, 3 points behind. And there is a very tight fight with 3 races to go in this top 10. And even further back with Astrodite, Jean, and Microlander. These drivers have scored a lot of points this season, Mikhail. A lot of points. Right now, AlphaTauri leading this championship. We have Mercedes there in second, with Ferrari in third. Now, the stewards, Rackety, has been issued a warning for dangerous driving. These drivers always reminded to keep things clean, keep things nice for the other. Be courteous. I mean, you got a race to win, but be courteous, right, Mikhail? Nothing further to report other than that. It was fairly clean last week in the United States for Tier 1 action. And I think with all that, Mick, we're ready to go.
Yeah, not too many incidents from the USA for these guys. Just a few little taps here and there, and just a few sort of questionable moves, particularly close to the braking zone. But that was USA. That was last week. It's now time for Mexico. And if Chenjie is able to outscore Yoda by 2 points this race, he will be the MRL Season 3 Tier 1 champion, to go along with AlphaTauri already wrapping up the constructors prior to this race. So again, apologies for not making a big announcement about that. Of course, if you're in the Discord, you would have got the announcement there. So yes, AlphaTauri have already won the constructors for this tier. But the drivers is still mathematically possible for it's only possible for Yoda in that McLaren, so he really needs a good result here. But if Chenjie is capable of taking this title here, and I see a lot of rain.
Yes, sir. That is what I was about to say. We have some good rain coming down here in Mexico for this qualifying session, and well, I wonder what that's going to bring us during this race. But yeah, we've seen these wet qualifying sessions before for this grid, and we've seen what it can do for this race. And this has really added a entirely new dimension of excitement to this race, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, any sort of wet session is certain to throw a wrench into the works, because not all the drivers would put a lot of practice into the wet, if any at all. So these guys are going to be trying to learn the circuit on the fly, just learn where the grip is, learn how they can push the car, where to not push the car. And what makes things even more interesting, Striffium, is that it's going to be a dry race. So all these drivers are going to need to fit on their dry setups that they've been working on all week, put them out here on these these tricky conditions, potentially aquaplaning a little bit, having a lot less grip, a lot less stability in the car, and they're going to have to do the best that they can in these 18 minutes, because track position, while it's not everything here, like we've seen in all three of the races so far this week, all of the race winners being outside the top 10, it certainly can make things a lot easier for you.
Definitely. Definitely. Some idiot, the first driver out in that Red Bull. One thing to talk about, Mikau here for this Mexican Grand Prix on the Tier 1 grid. We do have one hometown hero, if you will. Alejandro Yamamoto in the Racing Point in Sergio Perez's car, just as we saw on Tuesday. Vettel, another Mexican driver we have in the Misfits Racing League. But of course, Yamamoto telling me before the race, 11 miles from the circuit where he grew up. So I imagine he will be thrilled to be driving his home turf in this grid today. But we'll jump on with some idiot, of course, as Mikau. He will be the first racer to take us through a lap in these very wet conditions.
Yeah, we see the green-rimmed intermediate tires for this one, so not quite enough for the full wets, but you can already see he's struggling out of that final corner just to try and put the power down. There's very little grip, very little traction out there in these tricky conditions, especially with the dry setup. But we're heading down the main straight, one of the longest straights in F1, second only to the main straight in Baku City in Azerbaijan. Hard on the brakes for turn one, down in the third gear in these tricky conditions, trying to use all the curb that you can, but trying to make sure that you keep the car nice and stable, nice in a straight line, so you're able to put the power down. Somebody there doing a very, very good job out of the first sequence of corners. Into sector 2 now, a massive lockup on the front left, completely missing that apex. But turn 5, he's able to recover a little bit now through the double apex right-hander of turn 6. Short shift all the way up into third gear, now fourth, into fifth, now even into sixth gear, just trying to get as much stability as you can through into turn 7, the start of the S's. Turn 8, using the green ashtray. Turn 9, avoiding the curb. Turn 10 and 11, trying to use all the track that you can, but trying to avoid the curb as well. They're going to be very, very slippery in these conditions. And then into the third of the free DRS zone. It's a new one this game, unfortunately. Obviously no DRS in this session as of yet. Astrodite might be getting in the way as he's trying to prepare to start his lap, but now he's making his way through turns 14 and 15 into the right-hander of 16, second gear, and then it's all about the exit and keeping it nice and tight. He drifts again out of that final corner, and I do think he will be going around yet once again. Actually, no, he'll back out of it. So it's a 1 minute 26.24 to start us off. Not a bad time, but you can see how much he was struggling out of that final corner, Striffium.
Yeah, definitely struggling. A lot of these drivers right now, Mikau, I've just looked on with Neon and Valu. Invalidated laps from both of these racers. Valu now gearing up to go once again, and I think that this is something we've seen all week. Without the wet conditions, Nigel now the second driver to get a time posted. That's a 127 flat out of him. That's an 8/10 differential between him and some idiot, and that really goes to show some idiot, although he was struggling, he was doing quite well with that lap. Yamamoto now third position, a 127.271 out of him. The Mexican driver here around home, getting a feel for these conditions on their first runs. A lot of these racers freeware, fourth from him, a 127.326. Rackety, that 127.9 in fifth. And a lot of these drivers, you've seen a few come in or just stay. Well, we haven't even seen all of these drivers come out yet on these laps, but we've seen a few invalidations. Brownie in the Ferrari right now, he's coming down through turn 5.
Yeah, he's really struggling to put the power down through these slow corners. But he's gotten the car going once again. Into turn number 7 we go. Custom will come across the line to put himself 6th on the grid at the moment. And yeah, these times just keep getting slower and slower. I don't see the rain really getting any heavier, but the track conditions certainly look like they're getting a little bit worse. As I say that, actually, Sindaco in that Racing Point goes across line with a 1 minute 25.7. So eating my words there, Yoda slots into P3 as well. But some idiot, not some idiot, Brownie, sorry, in this Ferrari, heading through the final 2 corners now. What's he able to do? Is he able to keep the car nice and stable? It looks very, very planted on that rear, but only good enough for P7 at the moment, Stripping. 1 minute 27.264, only a few milliseconds faster than Yamamoto, and now we see the faster time starting to come in as drivers are getting starting to get a bit more used to the conditions out there.
Shenjay P3 at 125.793 out of him. Freeware P2 125.787. Very tight between those two. Brain Stew in the Mercedes. He crosses 7th quickest here at 126.466 the time out of him. Quite a few of these racers now. BTFU, Swifty, King, and Neon all on outlaps. Where is Alex Bitto? That is a big question coming out of the Ferrari squad right now. No toe tactics just yet out of these racers. Not entirely sure if they'd really give them an advantage here in these wet conditions, but it is now. BTFU in that Renault, yet to set a time, Macau, heading down into turn 1.
Yeah, he's just full gas down into turn 1. BTFU driver who has been just a little bit on the down low this season. Sindako, 6/10th improvement there. Hello. 1 minute 25.152 from the racing point. The Italian certainly lighting up the timing charts. But yeah, BTFU, Valu, sorry, going a 10 faster there with a 1 minute 25.002. So I think going to the 24s will definitely be possible towards the end of the session. But as I'm trying to say, BTFU,
Brownie
a bit of an up and down season right now.
Yeah, definitely an up and down season, but we know BTFU and how he likes the wet, and this could be to his advantage in qualification, considering how he's able to run these cars in these wet conditions. He had a very consistent drive recently in the wet conditions in a reserve capacity, if I'm not mistaken. Unless it may have been in the endurance race, actually, where he had a stellar performance. A very consistent drive, netting him some serious points where I had seen him. But he's now coming through the final final sector.
Yeah, he's making his way through the final few corners. BTFU, he's a very consistent driver. And especially in these tricky conditions, which you wouldn't expect if you knew he was from Arizona. But yeah, across the line, 10th place at the moment, 1 minute 26.468 for the Renault. But yeah, he's very consistent, but I think he just needs to find that couple of tenths to really slingshot him back up towards the sharper end of the grid. As we see more time starting to come in, Summit now improves on his previous lap time by over 0.6 of a second, putting himself into P3 with a 1 minute 25.169. So the times already getting very, very tight towards the sharp end of this grid, but Valu's still holding on to that provisional pole position for now. He's now come into the pits, cool off a bit, dry up for a bit, and put on a fresh set of intermediates for his second set of runs.
There is just so much differentiation in this grid as Nigel crosses in with a sub 125. He ran a 124.7 Macau here. King now to the line. What's he able to run? That's a 125.873 into 10th position for that. Williams Swifty in the Red Bull. The second last driver to have a time set on this board here. Alex Bitto behind him on the chart is currently flying. What can the Red Bull put onto this board? The first lap out of him in the session. It's good for P16, a 127.1. Alex Bitto now flying into the stadium section here. The right-hander at the end of that new DRS straight. As you said, no DRS yet in this qualifying session. These drivers will not have access until...
He's gone deep. He'll make his way through the final two corners now. I don't know what the time's going to be. He's trying to keep it nice and tight. What's the time going to be? It's good enough for P3 still, though.
Yeah, very nice time from him and the Ferrari. His teammate, Brownie, on an invalidated run at the moment. We'll see if he crosses the line once again. Something that we've seen, Mikal, a lot of these drivers putting in multiple laps. Brownie is currently on a very worn set.
Yeah, well, the qualifying dynamic really changes in these wet conditions because it's more about getting used to the track, where the grip is, and just building up your confidence as the laps continue to go on, rather than keeping those tires nice and fresh. Because it's a dry race, so everyone here is going to have free choice of tire, regardless of where they qualify, which will make qualifying even more important because you get to be on the alternate strategy. King, nearly 9/10 improvement.
What a rocket!
Time, yeah, a very, very quick time from the Williams. He's able to put himself on the front row with a 1 minute 24.998, just scraping underneath the 1 minute 25 barrier.
4 millisecond differential between him and Valley there.
Yeah, these gaps are tight. They've been tight all season, Stryfium, and even in these tricky conditions, these drivers there's still nothing that separates them.
A lot of these racers, I imagine not too many of them putting in a significant amount of wet running in these practice sessions that they do. It's as you said earlier, the rain is always a little bit of a monkey wrench because they don't put in that amount of time. It's majority dry racing. That would be something else, wouldn't it? Majority wet racing. But yeah, it's been majority dry racing through the... And these drivers get a sense. They race in so many of these dynamic settings, you know, leagues. There's been an issue as Neon spun it. There goes Shenjie. Pole position out of him. A 124.534. A whole 2/10 nearly ahead of Nigel. 0.172 the gap out of the AlphaTauri, who's currently leading this championship, and he is doing a very good job as his teammate, who's done it many a time this season. Freeware now, 124.520, just shy of 200ths ahead of Shenjie. And the AlphaTauris are very, very quick here today. Mikyao in Mexico.
Yeah, and they're still going. I mean, Freeware still has that hot lap mode engaged, but he's cut turn 3, so he won't be setting another lap on this set at least. Especially since that fuel light is also on. But yeah, the two AlphaTauri is doing a wonderful job blocking out the front row thus far. But I think since these times are rapidly getting faster as the session goes on, I think that maybe even a sub 124 would be on the cards if someone's able to hook up the lap.
Sandako just ran a sub 125. He ran a 124.935. He jumped King into 4th position. There's a multitude of drivers on flyers right now. Rackety in the McLaren will jump on with him as another racer has just crossed into things. That's Yoda in the McLaren, 5th quickest now, a 124.988, a full 100th of a second quicker. Full 100th of a second quicker than King. That is a very, very tight margin.
Yeah, you can't talk about tenths with these guys. It's about hundredths between all these races. Absolutely nothing in it between these guys. Anyone on their day could realistically battle for that pole position. But right now, the two AlphaTauris are sitting very, very nicely. Of course, there is a reason why they are the Constructors champions in this division. So they're certainly demonstrating it thus far in this session. But there's still just under 5 minutes remaining. So plenty of time for those to improve and set better lap times. And my eyes are going to be on these, these 3rd, 4th, and 5th places. And even Valo, who's been showing some great pace over the last couple of rounds. Those rounds have been dry, however. So maybe the wet pace isn't quite up to scratch. But there we go. Sandako now, he pushes the bar even higher with a 1 minute 24.432. So there's a 10th in it. Just about between himself and Freeware. The times continue to plummet as the session starts to get closer and closer to its conclusion. So best keep your eyes out, Stryfium, because these times are going to fall rapidly, and this grid could look very, very different come the end of the session.
Nigel is currently improving on his time as well. Mikyao, he's just made an improvement, a very small improvement through Sector 1. I was on briefly for a moment with the Ferrari of Brownie. I'm going to jump back with him now as he comes out of the final turn. Let's see what he's been able to find in this Ferrari. He's still on some fairly worn intermediate compound tires. He does improve. There goes P6 for him, a 124.927. Some idiot is on a flyer in the Red Bull. He's coming through out of turn 5. And there is a lot of pace unlocked in this, well, locked up in this grid right now, I should say. Rain Stew is flying as well in the Mercedes. Yama has just began, the hometown hero, of course, the Mexican driver in the Racing Point, flying down into turn 1. And Becky B has crossed 10th quickest here as Nigel. Yep, Nigel says hello. What a time.
He improves by over 5/10 to a 1 minute 24.183. And he's still going. He knows there's time to find. He had a little bit of a slip through Sector 3, so he knows there's still time to find. So sub 1 minute 24 is definitely doable in this session, Stryfium. And it's all about who's going to nail this final run when the track is at its best.
Some idiot improves. Nearly 3/10 out of him. He's right behind Yoda. Yoda has entered the pit lane, and I do believe Some Idiot is still flying, as is Brownie. Brownie has more, Mick. He's up quite a significant chunk here coming through the stadium. We'll see what he is able to do out of the final turn. The Ferrari now hammering down on that throttle just ever so gently until we get a straight line to the finish. That is a very, very minor improvement. He lost a good chunk, I think, on the exit there. He was up nearly 3/10 I had seen coming out of Sector 2.
Yeah, he certainly lost time in that final sector, but it's enough to put him ahead of his historic rival, Some Idiot. At least from my experiences between those two. Those two have always been very, very close to each other. And 7 milliseconds in it, but Some Idiot, he's still on his flying lap, heading through the S's now, but he runs wide. And then Nigel improves again to a 1 minute 23.981. So we have broken the 1 minute 24 barrier, and that is a massive, massive time from the young Brit in that Alfa Romeo car. Valu, he's able to improve, but not quite enough. He's still a tenth and a half away with a 1 minute 24.122, and everyone else here is certainly sees now. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of time to find rackety in this session as well.
Some Idiot has also improved, and it would appear a lot of these drivers on the intermediate compound tires are looking to develop hybrid compound tires, as we saw in Istanbul. The thing is, a lot of these drivers now are on. The big question is, will these tires, will they get them enough? Will they get them enough? Will they get them where they want to go? Or would it have been worth it to come in on a fresh set to get a little bit more time, do you think?
I mean, the intermediates really don't wear out that much during the qualifying session. It certainly might help with this extra 100th here and there, having a fresher set of intermediate tires, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference, at least from my personal experience. It's more about, the confidence and just getting the lines right and, feeling the track, feeling where the grip is, and just, attuning yourself to the conditions as they change.
I do believe Yama is finished for the session now, as he has dropped his present lap. His teammate Sindako coming through turn 2 and 3. Valu has taken pole position, a 1:23.9. Mick, he's taken the flag as well. We'll see if anyone else has something for him. Alex Bitto, 3rd position. He just moved up there from 6th.
Yeah, so the checkered flag has dropped, so all the drivers who are currently on flying laps are able to finish them, but aside from that, that is it for the session. Some Idiot improving to P4 with a 1 minute 24.346 in that Red Bull at one of his favorite circuits on the calendar. Neon, he is unable to improve. He will stay plumb last in this grid. BTFU will stay in 13th, the 1 minute 25.207. Next across the line, I believe, will be Custom in the other Alfa Romeo. He's making his way through the final 2 corners now. Short shift up to 3rd, keep it nice and tight to the exit. It's actually stopped raining on this track at the moment. He's able to improve by 5/10 just about, but only good enough for P15 at the moment. I think that's S King coming across. He's unable to, or he improves a little bit, but it's only good enough for P12.
Yoda coming through the stadium section now through the final 2 turns. Mick the McLaren, 1:24.759. He needs to find an improvement. What is the time going to be? Moving up through the gears now. A little bit of a slide. He does improve just shy of 2/10. Makes it into 9th position ahead of Becky B. Becky B not going to be improving. He will be entering into the pit lane. And I do believe the last running racer on circuit is Alex Bitto, and he has just entered the pit lane as well. And I do believe that's our grid, Mikau.
That it is. So it is yet another pole position for the Flying Finn. Of course, talking about Valor. Some of the long-time fans might remember the Recycle Finn. But the different Flying Finn this time. Valor, he's been showing some great pace, and he caps it all off with another pole position. But as we've seen from races gone by, pole position on this track isn't exactly the best starting point. But I'll let you run through this grid before we head into the race trophy.
As you said, Mikau, the Flying Finn. Valu on pole position, a 1:23.9. Nigel right behind him. Literally just right there. 69, 0:69 the time, just shy of 700ths of a second. Nigel off of that pole position. Alex Bito, the Spaniard, in the Ferrari, lines up third here. Some Idiot fourth. Sindako in fifth. And we will, of course, go down through the rest of this grid on the formation lap. One thing to note here, we do have one hometown driver. It is Yama in 14th position. And he does have quite some pace. Could have been an opportunity for him to get onto some different tire strategies. We've seen strategies. This is our fourth Mexican Grand Prix of the week. This is one of the quickest grids we have on offer here in the Misfits Racing League. Of course, we have the Club Division, we have the European Division, the Oceanic Division, and Tier 2 that we had earlier today. But this, ladies and gentlemen, it's Tier 1. I hope you're as excited as I am. I'm sure Mikau is just ready to go. So, of course, hit that follow button if you're new. Share the stream. Help us out. It is Mexican Grand Prix action, and it's Tier 1. And these guys are ready to go, Mikau. They are ready.
Well, I'd certainly hope that most of them are at least 99% of the way there. But since it was a wet qualifying session, everyone on this grid has free tire choice. So it's really a toss into the air as to whether the one stop or the two stop, whether you start medium, soft, or even the hard compound tires. We've seen that be successful in races gone by, thinking back to the EU split on Tuesday. So this race, having it a wet qualifying, couldn't have been any better strategy-wise. We're going to see a lot of different strategies, hopefully, and it's all going to be about when the safety cars come out, if any, because they always play a huge role in the strategy, and whoever's able to capitalize on those will be in a very good position. So we'll look at the details, and a lot of this grid starting on the yellow striped medium tires, with only two drivers actually varying from that. That being Brownie in P11 on those white-walled hard compound tires, and S-King choosing to go with the softs on the start of this one. So he's looking to get a lot of grip, a lot of traction off of the start in those rear tires, and storm his way through the field.
Could be a very unique start to this race, Mikal. Let's go down through this grid. Once again, Value on pole position. Nigel lines up on the front row next to him. It's Alex Bito there on the second row with Some Idiot parking it just behind him in the Red Bull. Sindako fifth with Freeware in sixth, just ahead of Shenjay. Shenjay, the current championship leader, is looking to hold off Yoda for a significant points haul. Shenjay just needs to outscore Yoda by 2 to clinch the Drivers' Championship here, to lock things up for the AlphaTauri squad as they have now taken the Constructors. It's Brainstew in 8th position. Yoda, the runner-up, of course, as we just mentioned, in this championship fight in the McLaren. He starts 9th. Becky B is here in 10th position, rounding out the top 10. Brownie in the Ferrari starting 11th on the hards, as you said, Mick. King in 12th. He's on those softs. He needs to get a very good start here. BTFU 13th. Yama in 14th, the Mexican driver here around home. Custom in 15th position right behind him. It's Rackety, Astrolite, Swifty, and Neon rounding out the remainder of this grid. And I do believe we've lost somebody.
Yeah, I think it's Ace was unable to join the session. I don't know if he's had prior commitments or just simply forgot about the race or slept in. I don't know what's going on. But 19 drivers, only has one Sol Williams representative this evening, which is a bit unfortunate, but still 19 drivers is a lot. And all these guys on the mediums should have fairly equal grip off the start, but we will wait and see.
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Mexico City. We're about to go racing. These drivers are away, McGowan. It's a great start for the Red Bull. That's Some Idiot already looking, but now he's squirrely. Maybe a little bit too good of traction on the exit there for him, as he looked to do maybe a little too much. Freeware, Shenjay. Ooh, it's tight coming down into turn 1, Mick. There's a lot of drivers looking for position. It was nearly 3 wide. It is 3 wide between the two Toweries and the Red Bull of Some Idiot ahead of them. Bito now really tight to the rear of Value as we make our way down into turn 4. The Ferrari looking at the Ferrari-powered Haas, I should say, Sindako right up their gearboxes, and these guys are really looking for serious position. Brownie now, wheel-to-wheel, Neon on the inside. That's Brownie around the outside of 5, getting that move, sticking in 11th position where he began this race. Alex Bito now still so tight to the Haas. That's Value leading things away from where he began them on pole position, Mick.
Yeah, Bito got off to a great start, as he's actually now coming under attack from Sindako, heading into the 3rd sector. Very nice move from the Racing Point. He's now up into 2nd place. Yeah, Alex Bitter, he got a great launch off that start, but Value was able to hold it around in those first 3 corners and just really snatch that lead right back. And that was quite crucial for the Haas driver, because he's really been pushing. He's already down to below 50% on his battery, so he really needs to get a move on, but it's going to be really hard to break this slipstream. Also, S-King getting tangled up with one of the Mercedes. I think it might have been Brainstew at turn 2, spun it on the grass, so he's now down into 19th. So those soft tires were not the right call. He's got it all to do, but hopefully he's able to use that grip to catch back up.
Some idiot absolutely breathing down Nigel's neck right now. The timing tower has desynced the positions, but this is a serious fight for, if I'm not mistaken, 3rd position right now, as Sindako, it is 4th position as Value is leading this race. Let me get mixed up for a moment there. But yes, some idiot hunting down Nigel, but there's just a massive train through this grid. It's very, very hard to find position, find opportunities to overtake, especially once the DRS comes into the equation. I think we'll see a little bit more patience maybe from these racers. I think a lot of racers want to get moves done early here. Nigel on the inside. Does he get this done on Alex? Ooh, he wanted it. He wanted it. Alex left him a little bit of space, a little bit of a squeeze there from the Ferrari. These moves can cost you as well. Shenjie, 6th position right now, hunting down this massive train. This absolutely, well, it's the entire grid realistically, and DRS has now been enabled for these racers. Becky B within 3/10 of Yoda. Yoda still in 9th where he began. He does not want Shenjie to advance before he gets up this grid. He cannot let that happen, Mick. He cannot.
No, and since he's the lead AlphaTauri, Freeware, his teammate, is in a prime spot to play second fiddle to maybe hold up the McLaren just a little bit and let Shenjie get away. But he doesn't want to get away too much because, of course, he is a racer in himself, and he will be looking to try and secure that 3rd spot in the drivers' championship for himself. But we've already seen 2 penalties handed out by the in-game stewards, both to Freeware and Brainstew for too many track extensions already on lap 3 of 36.
Yeah, it's a long race.
It's a very, very long race, and Custom being the 3rd driver to receive a penalty. Brainstew, though, seems to really be struggling through the S section. I don't see any physical damage on his car, but it certainly looks like he's nursing some kind of chipped wing. Maybe it's a lime green, very, very minor damage, but you really feel those that loss of downforce in that second sector, just the flowing high-speed corners, and especially if one following another car, it's going to be crucial. And yeah, he's fallen out of DRS range of Freeware, so Yoda really needs to get past as soon as possible if he wants to have any chance of keeping his championship hopes alive.
Yeah, he's got Becky B pressuring him right now. He's got that Mercedes just planted in Yoda's front right rear view mirror. And something else to talk about is that Neon, he's on these 3-lap-old mediums. Of course, everybody on 3-lap-old mediums that started on them. No pit stops in this race just yet, but he's hunting down Brownie. Brownie holding well on those hards at the moment. And Shenjie, some idiots come around. The Red Bull has come around. He's waiting to rejoin. And look at the amount of position losses you see here in this Tier 1 grid. The separation was absolutely minimal, and some idiot waiting patiently to rejoin the circuit has now fallen to the rear of this grid. His only saving grace, Mick, he's got no damage, so he might be able to push back through, but he's gonna have to nurse these tires. Surely he's got a good chunk of temperature into those right now, and can't push them that hard, and the penalties just keep coming through.
Yeah, we kind of expected the penalties to be a defining factor in this race. They have been all week. All the drivers complaining during the week about how strict the track limits are, but it's the same for everyone. So it's all fair in that regard, and really tests the drivers' stamina and composure and concentration to really minimize those. So he does have the pace to catch back up, but as you were saying, Strippium, those tires are not going to be in the best state, especially after that half spin. But I'm sure he can at least make a recovery back to the points.
Yoda hunting down Brainstew for 7th position. Yoda's between a Mercedes sandwich right now. Becky B has him zeroed in just the same, and it could be that we just see a switch of position between the 2 Mercedes here soon. Yoda might get through, but at the very least, Becky B will be able to follow him through, and Brainstew might be able to stick with Becky with that DRS. Now, Brownie and Neon having their wheel-to-wheel battle here. Brownie in this 10th position as a result now. He's into those points after some idiot had his issue. You see Brownie, he's lost the position to the Renault, but he's not done just yet. He is on a completely different strategy in comparison. He's on the hards versus mediums, and Neon technically should have that place at the moment. But Brownie's not going to make it any easier for him.
No, the medium's certainly going to be faster at this stage of the race. Like, we're still so early on, and because we are so early on, I'm a bit alarmed by the amount of penalties that we've already seen. One of which going to the current championship leader, Chenji, up in 5th position. But Brainster is doing the AlphaTauri's a treat here, just holding up Yoda. But Yoda now in that McLaren, he's got the overtake, got the DRS, the slipstream. He's going at 320, maybe make that 325 kph down the main straight, and he is now clean past the Mercedes, heading into turn 1, and he needed to get that move done basically 2 laps earlier.
Yeah,
to try and stay with the AlphaTauri's.
He's now
not
going
2
to be
seconds
thrilled
behind them. Yeah, he's now 2 seconds behind them, and he's going to have both Mercedes within his DRS. He's going to have DRS for this second zone, because of course there is only one detection point between turns 15 and 16. So he will be able to get away a little bit, but 2 seconds when the guys in front are actually the two AlphaTauri's are falling off a little bit from this front train. But a person who isn't falling off is Bitter, Sindako, Nigel, off of the race leader Valor.
Ooh, Becky's just stepped in it. It was just Brainstew for a moment, Mick, with the 3-second time penalty. Becky's just taken one now. Neon has one behind them. BTFU joins the club just the same. But look at this train on the rear of Yoda. Yoda is starting to break down that gap to the AlphaTauri's, and I think that Brainstew might have been a serious cork in the bottle here. He might have been holding up this train now. But we'll have to see what Yoda is able to do with that gap with freeware. His teammate, Rackety, over at McLaren, has just joined the club for penalties as well. Yoda needs to keep things clean. He has an advantage over the two AlphaTauri's. They've got 3-second time penalties each. And it's a long race.
Well, I don't think Yoda is really worrying about those Mercedes behind him. He's more focused on those two AlphaTauri's in front of him, specifically Chenji, who has actually picked up another 3-second time penalty. So he's now got a total of 6 seconds. And that is very bad at this early stage in the race, because that really puts you under pressure. And that's a 6-second gap that you need to keep and somehow maintain through the entire race. And in a field that is as competitive and as tight as this one, 6 seconds could be 6, maybe even 7 positions at the end of the race.
Nigel in 4th position, sticking well with Alex Bitto right now. We have a long first stint here, not something you would normally see considering when you have a dry qualify. Brainstew and Becky B exchange. Becky B gets into 8th position as Brainstew seems to be struggling a little bit in comparison to his teammate Neon right behind him. And Yoda hasn't been able to really catch up with freeware, but he has been able to pull out a bit of a gap from these Mercedes racers. Becky B will not have DRS, but back to the front of things. Alex Bitto doing well to stick with Sindako. Nigel staying in that train, and as these drivers took Chenji out of their DRS range, plus the penalty situation for the AlphaTauri's, it's not looking too good at the moment for them until they start to pick up the pace. And something else we haven't seen in this race is really that much contact. Not too much going on with yellow flags. Here goes King working on Rackety. They're very tight wheel to wheel coming down into turn 4. DRS, a big snap out from the McLaren. I'm not entirely sure what's happened there, but he's gone through on the grass, and there's been major contact. Major contact. Swifty, Rackety, and there's been a retire. Well, King is out of this race. King is out of this race, and I have no idea what's happened between him and Rackety. They're heading into turn 4. They came together. Rackety snapped wide. Now King's out. We've got yellow flags up through both sectors. And nothing yet as a result of this. No safety car just yet. No VSC. And it looks like we're not going to be getting one. What on earth happened between those two drivers, Mick?
Yeah, I think it was when S-King was going for that move on the inside, they tapped wheels slightly. The front right and the rear left of the Williams and McLaren respectively, they touched, and that sent Rackety into a slide going across the grass. And just the nature of the corners means that he couldn't really control that car, and he came back directly into the path of S-King. So it kind of looked like retaliation for the untrained eye, but I can almost assure you that Rackety had absolutely zero control of that car on the grass, and he even took a 5-second time penalty for cutting across it from the game in a front wing change. But Man, that is so unlucky for both those drivers, but particularly for S King after just a horrible race in these first 10 laps.
That has been, well, that's been a very unique situation in this race, to say the least. Another unique situation is that Alex Bitto is currently 6 seconds clear in reality of Nigel, as Nigel took another 3-second time penalty. He's now up to 6, and he's got Shenjay breathing down his neck. They're equal on penalties. That's the situation between them. Freeware, 3 seconds behind them, has 3 seconds himself, which technically puts him equal, but he's dancing around that. Neon, very close to the rear of Becky. We could see a move from the Renault on the Mercedes if Becky does not have DRS on Yoda, and I don't believe he does.
No, he's 1.5 seconds out, so...
Ooh, Shenjay, there he goes. He gets it into fourth position.
Yeah, he really needed to make that move. The further that he can move up this grid and put more cars between himself and Yoda, the better his championship hopes are going to be.
Brain stew on the inside of Brownie through turn 1. Does he get that move done? Brownie says, no way you're getting that through there. But here we have the nice exit out of Brain stew. They're wheel-to-wheel heading down into turn 4. Yeah, DRS for the Ferrari, and how's it going to go on the inside now for the German? The Italian looking at him quite hard here for a switchback. Yama right behind them. Becky B and Neon just ahead are exchanging. Becky B has lost out to the Renault for now. That is Becky into 9th, and we're going to jump back just behind them as Brownie and Brainstew continue to do the dance, but Brownie holding on to that 10th position for the moment.
Yeah, Freeway also got another 3 seconds in the S section on lap 10, so these penalties, they're racking up really quickly. Becky B proving my point that he gets another 3 seconds, so he's now up to 6, I believe, as well. Yeah, so he's on 6. A majority of this grid actually have penalties. Rackety on 18 at the moment, but he's running there at one last, so it isn't really going to affect him that much right now. But yeah, this fight for second place is really starting to heat up as well, Striffium. You have Alex Bitter and Shenjay, as well as Nigel. He's not too far behind either.
Becky with a lunge on the inside there, a little bit later on the brakes. He's fighting with Neon still through turn 2 now, through turn 3. How's it going to go on the exit here? There's still wheel-to-wheel Mikau. DRS for Becky. That's the advantage to him, but he does not have a lot of battery at his disposal. He's got the lead into the turn. Round the outside is the Mercedes. This is going to be the inside through 5 now. Does Neon have enough traction to keep it around the outside? We move into turn 6. Becky B holding very well back into 8th position, and he's made that move back into 8th where he saw Neon take it from him the last lap through, and Brownie is really closing in here with Brainstew not too far behind him.
Some great racing between those two. You can just see they each left each other just enough room to make it side by side through that entire complex of corners. But Becky B, just by the nature of the corners, holding it around the outside of turn 4 was huge, because that becomes the inside for 5 and 6. So he was able to just sort of squeeze Neon out just based on, you know, having right-handed corners instead of left-handed ones. And he's able to hold onto that position. But dare I say, we might see yet another exchange between these two. If Neon uses his battery and DRS effectively, he's gaining, but I don't know if it's enough. Becky B trying to break the slipstream.
Oh, Brownie with it low. He looked like... I don't think he saw Neon breaking that early. I think he thought Neon broke early because he had a snap to the inside because he wasn't sure what... I think he was looking to avoid something there. So I don't know what happened with Brownie, but he's still sticking with Neon. Yama and Brainstew have been exchanging. We saw Yama take 11th from Brainstew a few moments ago. Now it's Brainstew back where we saw Neon and Becky B fighting. The Mercedes trying to do what his teammate did last lap, and he's going to do it successfully. Brainstew back through on Yama, but only for a moment. I do believe Yama not going to let that go too easily. They're going to continue to do the dance as Brownie and Neon now. Becky B has started to pull away a little bit from Neon, and this has really left Neon for the Ferrari of Brownie here.
Yeah, and we're getting to that stage of the race where the medium tires are going to be starting to lose their grip. You know, they're good for about 14, maybe 15 laps, but after that, they really start to hit the cliff. So Brownie's tires should definitely be starting to phase in quite well into this one. He's got at least another 5, maybe even 10 laps if he's got some Supreme tire wear. Which he normally does, so he has a few laps left in him with some good grip. But yeah, these medium runs are going to be maybe thinking about pitting, and it's whether you go for that undercut or overcut.
The train behind Sindako here back in full force as Bido, Shenjay, Nigel are all within it, and Nigel acting as that caboose for this at the moment. Freeware a little bit too far back to participate. Penalties, yes, a few of these drivers with them. However, it's all about the fun on circuit right now, and these drivers are locked and loaded, and they want to get moves. Here goes Nigel with a run on Shenjay. Ooh, what an exit coming out of the Alfa Romeo, and Shenjay did not have a chance. Not one chance to defend the Alfa there.
Yeah, Shenjay, he had a little bit of a slip of the rear through turns 10 and 11, and that was all that Nigel needed. So just slip it up the left-hand side. And that was a great move from the Alfa Romeo. And since they're still in this DRS train, Shenjay isn't really going to have the overspeed that he needs to really make a lunge on Nigel. You can see they all have that DRS open. They're all gaining on Sindako, but they're not really gaining on each other at all because that DRS is neutralizing the drag reduction, as the DRS stands for drag reduction system. If you guys are unaware or new to Formula One.
Ooh, Brownie on the inside. Neon and him exchanging. There's a little bit of contact. Neon almost unsettling that Ferrari a bit here. He's going to have DRS coming down. So is Brownie. They're having a drag race, but right now Brownie is ahead, and he's holding that Renault behind him. Here we have a lunge out of the Renault into turn 4. He is not able to get alongside enough really to make this move right now, and Brownie's going to be happy to hold on to that 9th position, and this is really going to cost Neon some wear right now. He's really stretching, I think, against Brownie right now, and Brownie's on the hards. He doesn't need to worry nearly as much.
And Nigel as well, just at the front of the grid, picking up yet another 3-second time penalty. Just cutting that S's that seem to be notorious for picking up lots of warnings and corner cutting penalties. But Alex Bido seems to be going very slowly, and he's actually going to come in. He's going to come in at the end of lap 14.
Shenjay's called him on it.
And Shenjay follows him in as well. So these two drivers going for the undercut on these two. So it's actually, from my experience, been pretty even between the overcut and the undercut. So depending on how well this in-lap is for Sindako, Nigel, and Valu as well, they could be in with a good shot. And if Shenjay gets caught up in traffic with Bido, as I said, he's actually disconnected.
Yoda's had a disconnection. That is, oh, I think you and I both know how that's going over there at the McLaren camp.
That is absolute heartbreak at the moment. But hopefully he's able to get back in sooner rather than later, but he's going to be losing a lot of time under that AI control. Plus the AI car's driven at a significantly slower pace than if you were actually driving your car.
Not enough to be dangerous, though, in this league. Not enough to be dangerous.
Not enough to be dangerous, but certainly enough that you don't want the AI to be driving for a very long time. I can assure you that. But Nigel, he's putting Sindako on so much pressure. But Sindako, he hasn't cracked yet. He's one of the only drivers without a penalty yet. Valley comes into the pits. Sindako comes into the pits. Nigel comes into the pits as well. So everyone's going to be coming into the pits.
What does Yoda do?
I dare say Yoda's AI will probably do the same. Oh. Yes, it will.
The question is, what tires for Yoda? It could be the strategy that he wants, or it could be something entirely different than what he was planning on doing. Looks like they're going to be putting him on a set of softs.
Oh no. That is the last thing that he wanted. But this undercut's worked. The undercut has worked. Bido is clean ahead of Sindako. Sindako is also going to get passed by Shenjay on the pit exit, and he's going to fall right behind them. Brainstew setting the fastest lap of the race so far on those fresh softs with a 1 minute 16.479. And yeah, this race has been completely turned on its head, and Yoda is not going to be happy in the slightest that his AI selected the soft compound tires, basically forcing him to do yet another pit stop.
Yeah, that's going to be very unfortunate for him. Hopefully we have an invite and he's able to get back in for this race, because you really want to see him being that runner-up, get the opportunity to really fight against Shenjay here. Right now, Becky B will be looking to overtake the McLaren, and it's very unfortunate for Yoda to have. I think that's the second race in a row where he has had a disconnection of some degree. and the penalties just keep mounting here. Yoda, fortunately for him, one of the drivers on this grid that does not have any penalties. He is one of, well, 4 drivers on this grid. Brownie, Sindako, Yoda, and some idiot in a club of their own without penalties in this race, Mikhail.
I think the damage has been done though. He's on the strategy that he definitely did not want to be on, and he's also lost a whole heap of time. So I think that regardless if he's got no on-track penalties, he really needs a safety car if he wants to have any chance of even getting close to Chenche at the moment.
Cannot confirm whether or not he has returned. I do believe he is now back. Yoda, yes, is now back in control of that McLaren, and there's been an issue with Chenche. And I'm not entirely sure. Well, this is going to be good for Yoda. That's for sure. Yoda now doing some work already. He's working with Neon right now. Wheel to wheel. Yoda already back into 9th position. He's on those softs. He's going to have a ton of power in those at the moment, but they will fade quickly. And a safety car could be his saving grace in this race, but otherwise, it's as you said, Mick. It could be damage done for the McLaren here, and Chenche might just walk away with this one.
Yeah, you hate to really see it go like that, but there's still half of this race to go. Anything can happen. Brownie's still leading this race. He hasn't pitted yet because he started on those hard compound tires. They should be actually starting to wear a little bit now. But, you know, knowing Brownie, he certainly will be able to keep a little bit of life left into those. But Valo, he's sitting pretty in second, whole 5 and a bit seconds ahead of Alex Biddo, who has Sindako in his rear. And Chenche's lost yet another position to Nigel. So Chenche now down into 6th place. He's really pushing that car. Some idiot goes even faster with the new fastest lap of the race so far, 1 minute 16.1. As he's trying to make a move on BTFU, he's actually going to get that done fairly easily, well before the braking zone. Astrodite as well getting past Alex Yamamoto in that racing point for the 12th place, the Haas driver. So yeah, but these strategy calls, that they're really boggling my mind at the moment. All these guys on the softs, they must be anticipating a safety car. They must be.
They have to be. They have to be. That's really the only way it works out for them in the end. The soft, medium, soft is one of the recommended strategies here if you start the race on the softs. But if you're starting the race on the mediums, you can go for an easy medium hard if the rest of the grid is doing it. And that's the way this race fell with that wet qualifying. It scattered all of the pace around the grid. Now look at this grid. You have a ton of these racers, soft compound tires, hard compound tires. You got BTFU, the only driver on the grid right now using the mediums. Sindako, with a bit of a weave on the rear of Alex Biddo, has Nigel in his rear view mirrors. And there's still a train for that 3rd position. Alex Biddo is currently in charge of it, leading things in that Ferrari. And Brownie, his teammate, on a very, very long hard stint, as he said, leading things right now.
Oh, big lockup from Sindako heading into the braking zone at turn 4. He's not quite really able to get alongside Alex Biddo enough, but he has to leave the room for Nigel as well on that right-hand side. All this fighting is not doing them any justice, because the more they fight, Chenche is going to be able to stay with them. He was starting to fall back a little bit, maybe struggling on those hard tires. Just a tiny bit, maybe not able to get them up into that proper temperature range, or maybe just saving some ERS. This freeway is catching them at a rate of knots. These guys are going at it, Striffium. There's
Nigel with a dive into the hairpin. Oh, he was really, really wanting it on Sindako there. Sindako defending well around the outside.
Oh, Chenche, don't scare me like that, please. He lost the rear so badly coming out of turn, I think it's turn 13 and 14. Just absolutely sending shockwaves. I think my heart skipped a beat there, because that would have been just completely
Sindako,
catastrophic.
Oh, he looked at the inside. He really did look at the inside of Alex Biddo there, but he did not make the move. Maybe looking to apply a little bit of pressure, but him and Nigel are chasing down the Spaniard, both with the DRS. NJ on the rear of this. Freeware is starting to catch up, and all of this fighting is really going to bring this grid closer together. Alex Biddo, I guess, is totally comfortable with bringing other drivers into this mix right now.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't look like a driver who's too phased by the idea. gives him a bit more of a race, a bit more of a challenge, and knowing Alex Bido, he likes that. You know, he likes racing other drivers. He doesn't want to be just going around doing the boring, safe, strategic game that some other drivers might prefer. So
Well,
certainly creating a show for us.
you got Becky B there. He's leading the charge on the soft compound runners right now. You got 8 through 11 all sitting on the red rim tires, and 1.8. He's ticking it down slowly. He's got a few laps before things really start to taper off on those softs. But if he's able to do it, as Valu now has taken lead of things once again, Brownie falling to the Finnish driver who began things on pole position. In that Haas, he's back in the lead of things. Brownie has not yet pit in this race. He's on quite the long haul here with these hards. 20 laps now for him. And he has quite a good gap from his teammate of Alex Bido.
Yeah, these soft runners aren't gaining as fast as they probably need to be in order for this strategy to work. Becky B has closed the gap to Freeway to 1.5 seconds from about 5 when they all made their pit stops. So he's definitely been getting a lot of time, but I don't know if it's actually going to be enough to really warrant the extra pit stop. Because a pit stop around here, while it is a bit shorter than other places, it's still more than 18 seconds worth of delta to those who would just be doing the laps normally. So with that kind of gap, he's looking at around P16 at the moment.
Neon. Sorry to say, Neon has just joined a very special club now, as him and Nigel are the two racers in the 15-second club. Rackety in a league of his own with 19 seconds the McLaren Macau.
Yeah, hopefully the drivers know that they're supposed to keep that number low, not high.
No doubt. No doubt. Alex Bido under threat now, the Italian in the racing point with a move to the outside of the Spaniard into turn 1. He is clear ahead as they get on the brakes now. A bit of a lockup coming out of Sindaco here. We'll see if Alex Bido is able to do anything about it, but Sindaco will have the DRS run into turn 4.
And Nigel and Chenjay also still keeping up with them. Brownie actually is keeping up with Valor very well for some 21-lap old hards. And since he's gone this long on them, I dare say he'll be switching to the soft at the end of the race.
Contact between Freeware and Becky B coming through turn 5, now through 6 and 7. Freeware really not going to be too happy that he's battling someone on softs right now. And Yoda 6 seconds behind. Will really need to do something here. It's very unfortunate, of course. It was the AI controlled McLaren that pit him for the softs. Unclear whether or not he would have chosen that set of tires for this race.
I don't think he would have. He would have probably just gone to the hards like his main competitor.
As for the rest of the soft runners, I have no idea.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting call. I mean, if they're anticipating a late safety car, like they'll have the extra grip now to make up positions like Becky B has done on Freeway, and he's already actually pulled out a second, but not before that detection points of Freeway. Will have that rear wing open down the first 2 straights. But yeah, these soft runners, I don't quite agree with this call. Like even if there is a safety car late in the race, just having that insurance that you can theoretically make it to the end, and that goes for BTFU as well, because BTFU started on those mediums. Well, not that exact set, but he started on a different set of mediums, and he hasn't changed tire compounds, which is a rule in a all-dry race. You have to use at least 2 different tire compounds. So he is forced to make another pit stop, probably onto a set of softs at the end of this race. But aside from that, like, yeah, the softs, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well,
Safety car comes out, maybe they'll prove me wrong. But yeah, only really Becky B is the one making full use of it, because Yoda, he hasn't been able to really make a dent in that gap to Freeway. It was 6 seconds last lap, but now only down to 5.9, 5.8. And those softs after 6 laps are going to be starting to struggle.
Alex Bido still holding on well here with Nigel barking up his gearbox, and I just wanted to take our attention to some idiot, because we know him to be, if I'm not mistaken, quite fond of this Mexican circuit, and even he's decided to go into those soft compound tires. So I don't know if they know something that we don't, but Shenjay definitely has a position on Nigel, we can say that, and Shenjay with a significantly less amount of penalties than Nigel will be secured in that 5th position for the time being, as he looks to hunt down Alex Bido. DRS coming open for all of these racers on the rear of Sindaco.
Yeah, no one really going for a move into turn 4 just yet. They're all just keeping it nice and safe, keeping it nice and calm, nice and patient, if you will. Just there are points on offer here, so that no one wants to really go for a risky move that could throw it all away. Especially if you're the around the championship contender Chenjay. You don't want to be the one that ruins the championship hopes, because that would be a long discussion.
Dramatic.
Yeah, very dramatic indeed. Yes, the young American does have a tendency to speak a lot. But nevertheless, they're making their way through. Brownie finally pits off those 24 lap old hards, and yes, he is going to a set of soft compound tires. So red on red, he's going to be trying to use those and make up as many positions as he can. He's gone for that massive overcut. I don't quite know where he's going to be emerging. It looks like he might come out behind Aphrodite. Well, it's going to be close. So some idiot goes past, and yeah, Aphrodite's going to be clean through, and maybe even Neon, Yama, and BTV would catch up to him as well. No, they're just a bit too far back. So Brownie will be slotting out into that P12 position, but on a fresh set of soft compact tires, and all these drivers up until freeway still need to pit again. So he's sitting pretty on some very, very fast rubber.
Yan and Yama having a wheel-to-wheel exchange now coming out of turn 3. They're having a bit of a drag race down to turn 4 right now. Yama with the DRS. He's just got Neon ahead of him right now. He's going to look to go later on the brakes and move around the outside. BTFU with the front row seat to this action. He's watching his teammate defend against the racing point right now. And he's going to want to get in on this as well. He's on the 9-lap-old mediums. These two drivers ahead on the hards. He may have a little bit more pace in his tires right now. BTFU wanting to get that 13th position, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, obviously you want to finish as high as you can, even if there are no points on offer. But this train, I'm just keeping an eye on this train for P2. It's still going. It's still going. I'm looking at the penalties just briefly. Valor only has that 3 seconds. Sadako, one of the only two drivers that had nothing. And here we go. I think Chen is going for a move. Yeah, he's going for a move on Alex Bitto later on the brakes. Then the Spaniard into turn 1. He's gotten that move done for 3rd place. And they are even on penalties, so that is full position at the moment.
Yeah, that definitely is. Alex Bitto, Shenjay 6 seconds apiece as Brownie and Samidiot have now had an exchange. Samidiot on the 10-lap-old softs right now. I think he's definitely feeling like the strategy may have been the wrong call, Mick. Unless he comes in maybe soon for another set of softs. We'll have to see.
Oh, the spin!
Ooh, what's
the
happened?
Hometown Heroes round at turn 1.
No damage.
I didn't quite see that. There's no damage on that racing point, but he certainly lost a lot of time.
Neon's there as well.
Darko's had a connection as well.
Neon and Yama both off circuit, both with what would appear to be no damage on their cars, and now Neon has Brainstew chasing him down for 14th position, and I think that Brainstew is just going to take this easily. Not much that Neon's able to do to defend against this right now, and I think that's as a result of the temperature he may have gotten into his tires. Sindako, as you said, has had a disconnection problem. Alex Bitto will be looking to inherit as a result, and he is back. As these drivers are now across the line, we may be down on the intervals when Sindako rejoins his car. We have Nigel on board with him for the front row seat. Alex Bitto wheel to wheel with, of course, the Italian coming down into turn 1. The Italian not able to do much as he's not in control of his car right now with that disconnection problem, but here we have it. He is back now. A little bit of desync when he rejoins the lobby. As unfortunate as that is, that has set him into 5th position, but he has no penalties and he is back into control of that car.
Yeah, I think having no penalties at this stage of the race is going to be very crucial if he's able to keep it like that. Yoda picked up a 3-second time penalty just the previous lap. So he's now joined the penalty club.
Well, Brainstew, Samidiot, Yoda, BTFU, as well as Neon, all of those drivers, they're going for that 2-stop. They're all under those fresh softs. This could be interesting to see how it pans out with nearly 8 laps left of contention here in this race. So we'll have to see what 8 laps can do on a very, very fresh set of softs versus all of these, older, hard runners.
At least all these guys on the hards, at least for Brownie's race, they all have DRS in front of them. So Brownie still has a lot of work to do if he wants to really make up positions, especially since he does have that penalty looming over him. Penalty of 3 seconds. It's only 1. So he will get free air at the moment. It would be very close to getting free air at the moment, but still he wants to be making up as much ground as he can. Nigel will pick up yet another 3-second time penalty. That brings his total to 21 seconds. That's more than a pit stop.
Yeah, Rackety's in that club too. 25 on the McLaren, Mick. Alex Bitto, Nigel having a wheel-to-wheel exchange now. They're coming through out of turn 5 into 6, 7. Nigel ahead of the Spaniard for the time being. However, as you said, 21 seconds. Yikes.
Well, you can certainly see that he's been pushing the car a lot. Maybe a bit too much for the steward's liking. Need to keep it between the white lines, gents. Yeah, just at least this race has really not gone as we've expected. Chenjay now up into second place. He's actually pulled off the DRS gap that he needs. Chenjay's now left us.
Oh, the disconnection problems have been.
Is that a thing?
Oh
Zay's into the pits.
That is massive. That is massive, and you hate to. And I don't know if these are connection problems or if these are genuine computer issues, whether it be software, the client itself, at the game, or if it's the computer. But that is massive. Now he is absolutely fallen out. Now where are all of these racers going to land? He was quite far ahead. He's no longer in control of that car at the moment, of course. And Yama, 20 seconds or so behind him. 10. Yeah, look at that gap dropping. Wow.
Yeah, and he's also got those 6 seconds of
Some
penalties.
idiot now just cruising ahead of Custom.
And Freer and Bitto also having a bit of a tussle.
Yoda made it ahead of Custom as well.
Yeah, so the fights still are going on. But yeah, that is huge news for the championship. But Chenjay, I think he's gotten control of that car once again on a fresh set of soft competition. He's still P8, so he's still scoring 4 points as it is. So as it is right now, Chenjay will be the Tier 1 champion. But some really horrible races for both of the contenders this one, I've got to say.
Yeah, they're not going to be too thrilled with how their performances went. A little bit out of their control, if you ask me. Yoda being gone for a significant amount of time. I'd have to say a significant amount of time longer than Chenjay has been. But Chenjay now back into control of that car. You always know when a driver joins and retakes control of their car, because that is, of course, what causes the timing tower to disappear. Alex Bitto now has freeware in his rear view mirror, and now ahead of him. What a lunge out of freeware and moving into 4th position. And at the very least, it's going to look like one of these AlphaTauris hunting for podium positions. However, the penalty situation for freeware not looking good on those hopes right now.
Yeah, 9 seconds at the moment. He needs to pull a significant gap to both of the Ferraris behind. Brownie is gaining. Those soft tires, they still have a fair bit of life left, and he's only been on them for 4 laps. So they're still going to be much faster than these aging hard compound tires. But I think a driver we haven't really talked about a lot is our race leader, Valo, who's been just sitting pretty this entire race. This entire race has just been sitting out in front looking pretty. And just bringing that fast car around to the retirement in the pits. I do believe that's Neon. He's called it there. Not too happy with how his race has panned out. Hate to see it, but he has some other things to attend to, and would rather spend his time on that. But yeah, Alex Bitto, he's staying with freeware nice and well, and we have a yellow flag in sector 2 as well. That's Custom around at the S's, and he's lost a significant portion of that wing as well, Striffian.
That's very unfortunate for Custom. Chenjay now picking up that fastest lap. 1:14.989. Some idiot sticking with the rear of the hometown hero. Yama in 10th position. Has some idiot really crawling up his gearbox. There he goes. Yoda with the front row seat is going to breeze by him as well. Will he get some idiot? Some idiot got Yama. Will Yoda take him? He's looking for it. Will he be later on the brakes into turn 1? No. Some idiot. I think Yoda wanted to see if he could pressure some idiot into a mistake there, and he might have just done so. Now there's an AI-controlled car. The retired car of Neon has definitely cost some idiot here. That car getting itself out in front of the Red Bull. Yoda looking to take advantage on a wheel-to-wheel drag race down into turn 4, as some idiot was definitely held up there, Mick. Yeah, I think it's safe to say. But now Yoda looking for 10th position. Suddenly this is a fight for points for Yoda. And Chenjay really isn't that far up the road, but the problem is he's on fresher soft tires.
Yeah, that he is. He's also got a fastest lap point as well, but 6 seconds of penalties compared to Yoda's 3. It doesn't look like it's going to be doing anything at the moment, but yeah, Nigel, 24 seconds now. Yet another one on lap 31, as we have started lap 32 or 36, so only a handful of laps remaining. Sindako is still penalty-free, which is an amazing effort. I mean, I think even if he got one now, it wouldn't really change his second place finish, unless something really like horribly wrong happens to Valu. But a great effort from the Italian in that racing point to get no penalties at Mexico. There've only been a couple of drivers.
Ooh, Shenjay with a lunge on Becky into turn 4. Mick, sorry to interrupt you there, sir. Becky looked to have a defensive maneuver against the AlphaTauri, but Shenjay wasn't having any of it, and there he goes into 7th position.
So yellow flag, I think that's just custom. He's going a bit slowly through the S's. He's on our first set of softs. He's now fixed that wing. Just trying to keep it nice and tidy through there. Freeway, he's still catching up. And Becky B actually is now past. Changes around.
Oh, he's around, and he's going to really be upset with this. Where's some idiot and Yoda? Brain Stew is still quite far behind this. Oh, that's massive. That is massive. Penalties.
Baby full of pressure.
Let's take a look at things. Shenjay 6 seconds, Yoda 3 seconds.
Left
He's
again.
left the session again, and he's really having issues over there. Maybe it was a result of technical issues, but now Alex Bitto and Brownie ahead of the Spaniard into 5th, and the Ferraris are doing well in the points right now, 5th and 6th, and that's really broken this open for Yoda. Massive
really
news
has.
for Yoda.
It's given Yoda the saving grace that he needs to at least keep his championship hopes alive. Chenjay still has that fastest lap point, so realistically, Yoda needs to beat Chenjay. And with the penalty situation, it looks doable. It's not there quite at the moment, but it's certainly possible, unless, you know, Yoda picks up yet another penalty. But Chenjay having trouble entering the session yet again. He does have a couple of invites. There he goes. He's now back in control of his car, but he's lost a lot of time.
Brainstew's within at least 1.5 seconds right now. You can see him in the rearview mirror chasing through the S's section, and not too far behind Brainstew, you've got some idiot and Yoda on the move, and all of these racers extremely quick as Valu has crossed us into, of course, lap 34. The 2 Ferraris are continuing to do the dance now. Bitto ahead of Brownie into turn 1 this time around.
Alex Bitto leading the charge for the Scuderia. Yeah, another like solid race for the Ferrari. Look, I'm really happy to see them both scoring the points, because that certainly wasn't the case at the start of the season. But a few driver swaps and a few mentality shifts later, and here they are. They're doing very well for themselves. But I'm still really focused on this championship fight right now, because things are very tight with the penalties and the like. Things are very tight, and they really didn't look like they were going to be 10 laps ago.
Well, if Shenjay so much as takes one more penalty, you can guarantee Yoda will end up getting him. And now Brainstew's had an issue, and this puts Yoda into the points as a result. So that's huge. That's huge, and this is going to bring him a little bit closer as well to Shenjay. The thing is, some idiot 3.7 seconds away from him. Yoda, just 8/10 shy of some idiot, and we are on the penultimate lap of this race. Brainstew has also just taken another 3-second time penalty. That brings his total to 18 seconds across this campaign, Mick, and a lot of these drivers definitely feeling the corner cutting stringency here. It is strict, of course, for those that are curious as to why so many penalties. Our stewarding on the circuit limits is determined automatically by the game, not necessarily a group of gentlemen in a stewarding office for these races. However, that would be lovely. Codemasters, give us live stewarding. Cheers. Brainstew now moving ahead of Yama into 11th position.
I think Yoda's run out of laps.
Yeah,
I honestly think he's run out of laps.
Those tires right now equalized.
Yeah, and he's not really gaining much on Samedi, and Samedi's not really gaining. In fact, Samedi's pulling back a little bit from Chenjay. Not a lot, but only a couple of tenths. but it's certainly the wrong direction for Yoda's sake. Becky B putting Brownie under a lot of pressure. He goes for a massive lunge into Sector 3. And Brownie's actually got wing damage. I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice that either. Ooh, very, very tight fighting between these two right now. We're on now.
The last lap.
Yeah, Brownie doing everything he can, but I don't think it will be enough here with that damage to really hold off Becky here.
He has the battery though. I don't really understand why he's not using it. Maybe he's waiting for a switch back into the second DRS zone. Brainstew's yet had another issue at the stadium. It's a 10-second penalty for corner cutting at the stadium.
Oh no.
To, add salt to the wound. But yeah, what a drive from Valley. We haven't really talked about him because he's been out in front this entire time.
Yeah, he's been doing a very good job. 9 seconds ahead of Nigel. We take a look at the penalties in this race. Nigel with a very, very large host of them. Valu, not nearly as many. Sindako so far clean as a whistle over there in the racing point. And Brainstew, I think, is just finished with this race as he has now accumulated an additional 10-second penalty. And just like that, he's snatched the lead of penalties from Rackety and Nigel. There goes Valu to take the checkered flag here. Nigel will come out of the final turn. Rackety just ahead of him in a backmarker capacity. We'll take an early checkered flag. There goes Nigel now. Sindako out of the final turn here. Mikau without the penalties will take second position. Freeware jumps Nigel into third. Alex Bitto fourth. Oh man, Shenjay, he might have done it here.
Yes, I think that's it. And that 8th place finish, that's going to be enough. Shenjay is your Tier 1 MRL Season 3 Drivers Champion. And he's actually, no, he hasn't. He hasn't done it yet, I don't think. Has he got the fastest lap? He's got the fastest lap. Yes, he has fastest lap. Okay, so he has done it. He's outscored Yoda by exactly 2 points. And, yeah.
Well,
it looked pretty promising for a second that this fight would continue into Brazil, but that is it. That is it. Shenjay, very, very solid drive all season. Well deserved of that drivers championship, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely congratulations to Shenjay. Yoda effectively now the runner-up, and potentially he could come under threat from a couple of these other racers who were not too far behind things. There's still 2 more races to go, of course. Brazil next week for Tier 2, Tier 1, European, Oceanic, and of course Club Division action. We've got 2 more races left in this season, Season 3 of the MRL. Let's take a look once again. We've got 1 more Mexican Grand Prix tomorrow as well for official MRL racing. That's the Club Division. And we have the Endurance Series taking place around here on Saturday as well. So lots of racing to happen here if you're new to the channel. Let's take a look at the classification. Of course, Mikau. Valu, he started this race on pole position in that Haas. A stellar performance, a very consistent drive. He maintains that position and takes the race win here around Mexico. Sindako from 5th to 2nd. Freeware from 6th to 3rd. That is your podium. Alex Bitto, he drops back a position in the Ferrari. His teammate Brownie had big plans. He started this race on the hards. He switched to those softs. He gets things parked into 5th position. Becky from 10th to 6th. A nice drive from him. Nigel, the penalties in the end, Mikau, they really plagued his race. 24 seconds, all of those penalties. 8 penalties accumulating that 24 seconds. Some idiot. He started this race in 4th. Maybe a little bit of a strategy mishap coming out of him in that Red Bull. He, of course, finishes this one in 8th. Shenjay, some connection or computer issues setting him back a couple of positions in this one, most definitely. However, that has not stopped him from taking that fastest lap and, by extension, as you said, the Tier 1 Season 3 Championship. Yoda there, of course, in 10th position, the runner-up in this one, and he will claim the final point here. Astrate, Yama, BTFU, Swifty, Rackety Custom, Neon King, as well as Brainstew, all in this one. What a race. What an epic conclusion to, at the very least, well, the Drivers' Championship, but not our season. Brazil and Abu Dhabi still yet to come, and those circuits definitely provide some fireworks. Let's have your take on that one, Mick. That was thrilling.
Yeah, it was a thrilling race, like all around. Lots of interesting strategy calls. Unfortunately, connection issues played both of the championship contenders. But from a race standpoint for Shenjay and Yoda, a horrible day out. They both lost positions, but Chenjay, I think he's glad that he got that fast lap point, because otherwise this title fight would be going on to Brazil, but he has clinched it now, so he can at least have that sigh of relief. But at the front of the grid, Valor, I think that's 3 race wins in a row. He has been on fire. The Flying Finn, the new Flying Finn is back, I guess.
Yeah, we've always got at least one Finn just setting the circuits on fire here in the Misfits Racing League. It just seems that at some point there's always... Well, we've got quite a great group of Finnish racers. We have quite a great group of racers from all over the world, and you love to see that diversity. And of course, that diversity will be back in action quite a bit with Misfits Racing League action carrying us through the weekend. We have the Mexican Grand Prix tomorrow for the club division, as well as once again another Mexican campaign, a 100% distance campaign this coming Saturday at 11 p.m. GMT. But that is it for racing coverage this evening for us here on the Misfits Racing League Twitch channel. We are going to be rating a member of the community as always, so be sure to stay tuned with us for that. We greatly appreciate it when you do, and we always try to make someone's day. Sometimes they're new, sometimes we know them. We'll have to see. Take a look at who may be streaming. If you have F1 streamer suggestions, let us know in the chat. We always like to help our friends out. And, well, Mikau, have I really missed anything?
No, not really. I think you've covered everything. There's a lot of Mexico this week.
Definitely.
I'm really curious how to see how these drivers go for 72 laps around here. It's a lot of laps. But yeah, be sure to look forward to. I think it's actually 71 or 72 around there. I know 50% is 36, so that's all I know. But yeah, nothing more from me. Also, again, a big congratulations to Chenjay for clinching the driver's title here this evening. Well deserved, kept it nice and consistent throughout most of the season. A bit of a hard race for him there, and maybe it's a bit indicative of Lewis Hamilton's championship winning races around here at Mexico. But nonetheless, he has clinched it, so big congratulations to him, and congratulations as well to Yoda, our runner-up. He put up a massive fight for Chenjay, but it wasn't just quite enough when it really counted. And also to Valor, because three race wins in a row. And I think he actually now has the most amount of race wins in Tier 1 for a single driver, maybe? I don't know, I have to check on that one. But congratulations to him as well for another dominating performance.
Definitely. Congratulations are in order for him. That is going to be it for us. We are going to hit you with the outro as always, and I can definitely be excited to say we've got a new one that we are working on. We have a new video like that we are working on for Season 4, as well as a ton of new super exciting stuff coming your way for the next season of Misfits Racing League as we approach the finale of Season 3. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. We are going to rate as always, and, well, have a fantastic evening. See you tomorrow for Club Division.